everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with some more Blades in the Dark. Before we get started and go around and say hello to all these lovely faces here, please check out the links coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. There is a room just for this, where we'd love to hear what you think about this game. If you'd like to get into a game, one of our viewer games, please go drop Scrat a DM on Twitter and we'll get you on the list. We are putting extra games on now that most people are in lockdown, so that we can have a bit of a fun escape for everyone. If you've missed out on anything, you can head over to YouTube and catch up in the playlist. I will say, as some of you may already know, the tech gremlins have been everywhere this week, so please bear with us as we if anything happens. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of the Deck of Many, with the Deck of Many Things. And I will say, you can see the magic moving spell cards here, and you can donate for these to go into this game, and it will affect the story long term in fun ways. Also, they created Humblewood, and you can see that is one of our viewer games after this one today. We also have the wonderful Hero Forge with the coloured minis, which we're very excited about collabing with, and we've got a lot more doing with them very soon, so keep an eye out. Also, Mage Hand Press, as you can see here. This is Dark Matter. This is one of my absolute favourites. It's D&D in space, and I love that. You may have seen their Fayfolio yesterday, which is also a viewer game. And last but certainly not least, our newest sponsor in the form of Dungeon Fog. They do some seriously amazing stuff with maps and notes, and they sort of collaborate them together, and it helps you set up for your campaign or one-shot, whatever it is you're going to do. If you change something on the map, it updates it in the notes for you, so you're not constantly going backwards and forwards with that. Otherwise, let's go round, and as always, I am going to refer to everyone in their character names, because I'm kind of loving these names right now. And we're going to start by saying hi to 2 for 1. Oh, hi.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm playing Dabo 2 for 1. This I don't know. It seems kind of like this spider espionage swab type. We're still trying to figure out what he is. You can find me at Crusade Warlords on Twitter, or you can find me at warlordscrusade.com on the internet for all of my armor making goods. And I'm just excited, really excited to escape and play this game today.
Fabulous, wonderful, thank you. And then we're going to hop down and say hello to our lovely Spurs. Oh, hi.
Hello, my name is Simon, and I am playing Spurs, the cutter of the group. You can find me on Twitter and on Itch at Lucha Libres.
Fabulous, thank you. Then we're going to hop around and say hello to Odessa. Oh, hi.
Oh, hey there, it's Nazim. I'm your Hound Odessa Ward, and you can follow me on social media at Nazgul. Do you hate me yet?
I love it. And then we're going to hop around to Blue. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. My name's Tiffany. I play Blue, our Slide, who I think is maybe not a quote-unquote subtle manipulator. Maybe she's our heavy-handed manipulator.
Love it. And last but certainly not least, Rajani.
Hi, I'm Izza, and I play Rajani the Whisper, and you can find me on Twitter at EvilCleverDog.
Fabulous. Okay, so we left the group chatting to the new sort of up-and-coming merchants, the Crowfields, Carlisle and Amelia. And Rajani, you, at your first meeting of the sister, you recognized Amelia almost straight away. That red hair, sort of straight away, was that woman you met by the docks, the one looking up at the towers, the one that sort of almost evaporated before your eyes. Mm-hmm. And she looks directly at you and gives you a very lovely smile, holds out her hand, is like, hello, I'm Amelia. As she sort of awkwardly looks to you.
Rajani, for one moment, is also incredibly awkward as she just kind of and then tries to maybe like inhabit a little bit of Blue's confidence and cover up the fact that she's like, what the fuck is going on? And as a hand, I was like, Rajani, a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure is all mine. I believe I've met some of your friends, as she sort of gestures towards Spurs and Blue. This is my brother Carlisle, and again, Rajani, you get that waft of rose petals. In fact, you all will at this point. And she smiles towards you, like, we're actually just about to head off home. But it was really lovely to meet you. All of you.
Oh, it was such a pleasure to meet you as well. Just out of curiosity, what neighborhood do you two call home?
This one, we're quite new to the area, but you know, it's a rather wonderful thing to be. We're lucky enough to live in this district.
Oh,
we're just
yes.
actually just down the road.
Oh, well, I certainly hope we have the pleasure to call on you sometime.
Oh, absolutely. And if your friend wanted any of those dresses or anything sort of designed, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you so much. You're so generous.
Yeah, and very talented, I hear.
Thank you. And almost at that point, you see Carlisle walk over to Amelia, put like a hand on her back. Is like, the carriage is here. And she sort of gives you a smile. He gives you all a nod as well. And they start to disappear out to the front door towards the carriages.
Is there any way to subtly do an attunement?
How would you subtly do an attunement?
I don't know.
I mean, they're walking away. They won't see her.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, because spirits leave like a residual energy, right?
Yeah, you would definitely get the feel of something being left behind if you. Yeah.
So as they leave, could I just sort of subtly duck into like maybe like behind the others so that they're kind of hiding me and just do my thing and just see if there's any residual energy that is I can specifically tell is from her.
Okay. Yeah, roll for me, please. This is risky.
Okay.
Purely because they're at a close distance.
And is it standard?
Standard, yes. Okay. What does it look like when Rajani sort of reaches out? How is she ducking behind everyone? I will say some of you probably have seen Rajani use you as a shield before.
She's quite small and skinny, so she just kind of like... Who else is here? Is it everyone? I can't remember.
Everyone is currently all back together in the main hall. This party is slow. You can see it slowly dying down. Like, whatever's happened seems to have happened, and people are filtering out.
Who are the tallest people in the group?
Who are the tallest people in the group? I feel like 2 for 1 is.
Maybe.
Is Spurs? How tall is Spurs?
5'8", maybe.
5'8".
Oh, okay.
Is Odessa tall by any chance?
No, she's not tall. Not at all. She has very long limbs, which like makes you think when you first look at her she's tall, but no, she's not.
Okay.
Very average.
I guess Rajani will just kind of like give Dubbo a bit of a look and tap her mask and just kind of like duck behind him and do her thing and be sort of like trying to subtly make the hand gestures she normally makes, using him as a bit of a shield and trying to sort of conceal the little wisps of energy.
Okay.
Dabo will assist.
Yeah.
By not going, don't look at me, everybody. Look over there. I'm not doing any of that. I'd be very subtle about it.
There's this moment as you sort of start to reach out. You don't have to hide, okay? Because it's making me laugh too much. He's trying to close the other window for me.
Rajani trying to hide behind Dubbo.
Yeah, here is how you do it, everyone.
It's just a reenactment.
Yeah. Off you go. Oh my god. You reach out And there is this kind of residue, I guess. It doesn't really have a color or anything like that. It's more that you can sense it there, like you feel it. It's almost like a bit of a cold breeze. And I will say on that roll, you're picking it up from both of them.
Okay.
Not just her. As they sort of start to walk out. However, as you see them go to leave the door, you see Carlisle stop and look back in your direction a little bit quizzically. And at this point, he's mainly just looking at Davo. So he sort of looks, gives a bit of a smile and nod. There's sort of a lingering look as he turns and walks away, guiding his sister out.
Weird night, guys.
Well, here we are. Where did the two sisters go? Where are the witches at?
They sort of welcomed you back into the party. They sort of kind of doing their own thing, whether it's they always have a plate of food put in their hand, and they tend to put it down very quickly, but they do have like glasses in their hand as well.
Well, who wants to get out of here?
Yep, I'm ready to leave.
And I guess I should have asked this, but I don't know how the rest of the other session went. So what was discussed with the sisters? Or do I not know? You know what? I don't know. I left the room. You're right. So maybe they know. Hey, everybody. Fill me in with what was discussed with the sisters.
Perhaps we should wait until we're back at the casino. Unless anyone has anything else to discuss with the sisters, like how strange their new garment makers are, or should we wait until we have more evidence?
I was about to say, I don't know how to bring it up with them, but I got some pretty distinctive residue off them. She says as quietly as she can.
Like what?
It's this cold breeze, and I smelt the rose petal scent again.
Why don't we head back and you guys can fill me in? It seems like I missed a lot when I was going to the restroom.
You were in there for a while. So.
I was. It was bad wine. It was coming back up when I came out.
Oh goodness, let's not inquire, please. It's been such a pretty night. Don't describe.
No, I want a
wasn't
detailed
describing.
description.
I'll save that for private conversation with Rajani later.
That's how you two bond. Lovely.
Bonding moment. What we do in the bathroom.
Okay. So are you heading out and leaving?
Yeah, and I'm gonna purposely not. I'm not gonna avoid him, but I'm not gonna go get Thomas and say, "Hey, let's go." I'm just gonna leave.
I will say you can see you can see Thomas at the party. He looks so out of place. He looks a bit scruffy.
Ugh.
But there is someone talking to him. There is this much younger boy who seems to be informing him. He's in a bit of a uniform. It seems to be quite smart, but Thomas doesn't look happy. And he looks like he's getting a bit... It's not worry, it looks to be frustration. It's probably the most emotions you've actually seen out of this man. But he sort of gives you a look and points out the door to almost indicate that he's going to leave, and the boy sort of starts to lead him out.
If he passes by, we'll say, have a good night. We're going to go have we need to discuss a team meeting here.
He sort of looks to you, he grunts, and it's a bit of a long stare for a moment, but you can see the frustration in his face. Is that I'll probably be coming back soon anyway. Move, boy! And the boy sort of quickly sort of jumps and then runs, leading Thomas out of the door.
We may not be the only ones receiving troubling news tonight.
It's not.
Do the Dimmer sisters provide the carriage to take us back to the casino as well?
Yeah, you can see all the carriages that are pulling up. It's almost like a long line of these huge, like, goat-type rams and these very elaborate carriages that you're in. I will say you can definitely get into one. You sort of go in two because of how many of you there are, and I can say that you get back. They drop you off at the casino very quickly, and you're back outside the 13th floor.
Oh, I'll just get out of the carriage and open up for Blue, Odessa, and Rajani exit, and Spurs. So order them all to exit first.
Something is in the air tonight. First, I put my foot in my mouth, whereas Spurs becomes a smooth-talking operative. And secondly, Dabo opened a door for somebody.
This isn't the first time I've opened doors for you all.
It's a dangerous evening. Next, Thomas is going to juggle.
I told you it was bad wine.
Oh, let's not jinx anything before it comes to pass.
So I'll head in and just start pouring drinks for everybody and figure out what was said while I was not in the room.
It's the early hours of the morning, so there's very few people out in the streets, and you haven't had anyone knocking on the door.
Were we closed this evening
You were.
while we were gone?
Does everything look the same as we left it, minus the fact that when we left, Odessa was lying on the table?
Let's
yes.
remind her.
You could see like the note you left and everything like that, but otherwise everything seems normal.
Okay. Rajani will just sort of like park herself at the bar and take neck an entire drink in one shot and put the glass back out for Dabo.
I just reiterate my experience talking to Carlisle and his sister, and the sus attitude he had. He's sketch. I don't know what other ulterior motives he seems to have, but I immediately got a bad feeling the second he opened his mouth, and I'm sure I saw that face down in the sewers.
Well, I've seen Amelia's face before. Out of character, it's been 2 weeks and I now can't remember. I told you guys about the ghost on the dock, right? Out of character.
I think you told it. I know Spurs knows. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I said it to everyone when we arrived at the party. Okay, good.
Which one was Amelia? Which one's Amelia again? That's the sister.
That's Carlisle's sister.
Carlisle, yeah.
Okay. All right.
She didn't give you any sort of sense of recognition when she saw you at the party?
No, but she is the ghost I saw down in the docks, and she's also what that creature I was trying to communicate with down in the catacombs turned into. So there's obviously some kind of connection, whether she knows it or not. But I did get...
She was also acting very skittish. Maybe she did recognize you, but she couldn't say anything because her brother was there. Odessa, what did you say to the brother? You had some conversation with him at one point.
Yeah, I mostly just inquired about his business and what he was doing at the party, and it was a very brief conversation, but he seemed to imply we'd be seeing each other again, and I welcomed that invitation. I think it's important we keep a close eye on them. If there's some ability they seem to have, either to connect with the spirits, to project themselves, or I don't even know if it's possible, be spirits themselves roaming around as freely as they can right now.
Kind of spirit take on a living person's appearance?
Or just take over a living person's body?
Well, that's
they can do that.
Unbeknownst.
That's not unheard
If
of.
we're dealing with a couple of husks, that's one thing. But if it's an actual spirit that can manifest physically, that's a bigger problem. And we know that this guy gets around a lot, considering he was more than likely the guy that made the second stiff down by the river and then walked along walls like a spider.
Oh, that was so disgusting.
She seems rather guileless. Either that or she's an incredibly talented actress. He seems more like he knows what's going on. He was especially interested in Rajani, her spirit mask, sort of all things arcane. I'm not sure he's as innocent as his sister.
I don't think so either. Although it wouldn't be unusual for the Dimmer sisters to know people who are involved in those kinds of practices, but there's too many things that seem to line up so far.
Can I roll a retroactive study to see if I remember basically if Amelia was at any point deceptive?
I'll say yeah. You can do that. Yeah, because you were around her a lot in the evening. So yeah, roll for me. This would be standard. Yeah. You
Said that Carlisle's always been like this, so it's not like it's a recent case of possession necessarily.
Blue, you it's almost like you take a moment to think back of Amelia, your interaction with Amelia and your interaction with Carlisle. And with Amelia, you felt no falseness. You felt no, there was no lies there. There was no, nothing. If anything, she was probably one of the most genuine people in the room.
I like Amelia. I truly didn't detect even the slightest bit of deceptive behavior. If anything, I wonder if maybe her brother is somehow using her. She's a dressmaker. All sorts of people in high society invite her into their homes. Maybe that's useful for him.
That makes sense.
Or she's living in denial that her brother's engaging in suspicious activity, but is aware of it.
So let me get this straight. We've got 3 damning clues. The brother is the face in the wall that Odessa saw. I'm going to rank that as most creepy out of the 3. The sister is the sad, lost warning ghost that Rajani saw on the bridge. Second most creepy. And shockingly for today, the least creepy of the 3 clues, someone of the brothers' build and certainly of the brothers' taste in cologne stabbed a spirit walker and then spider climbed up a brick wall to get away.
Yep.
Can't believe that's the least creepy of our observations today. I'm deeply
you've identified
shocked.
who attacked the coat, the blue coat?
It was a spirit warden, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a spirit warden.
Yeah.
We've
we
identified
didn't see his
smell.
face. Yeah, we didn't see his face, but we smelled the scent of roses quite strongly off of him.
So he's a member of what you've identified? The guy who stabbed him?
The guy who stabbed him, we believe to be Carlisle because of the scent that came off of him. Or at least connected to him somehow. I don't believe we saw his face, if I remember correctly, out of character.
Yeah, you didn't see his face, but the smell of the particular perfume seemed incredibly overwhelming. I will say, just as a reminder, his sister smelled very much of lavender, which was also overwhelming.
I thought they both smelled of roses.
She did not smell of roses,
Okay,
she smelled
sorry.
of lavender.
Correct that.
As a fashionable, or at least aspiringly fashionable individual, does Blue know if rose-scented cologne is uncommon or popular right now?
It's not particularly uncommon or popular. I believe someone spoke to them about the perfume store that
Yes.
they said it was from. And it's not uncommon, but the one thing I will say you took away from it is that it was put on very strong. It wasn't like it was, dabbed on. It was drenched in it, if anything.
Ah.
When Odessa saw the face down in the catacombs, did she also smell the scent of roses? Okay.
I smelled it first, and then sort of out of the corner of my eye, a few moments or minutes really later, the scent was in the air very quickly when I was down there. So I don't know how long he had been there or watching or what, but it wasn't until just moments before you guys arrived that I noticed a face in the stone.
Yeah. And when I saw the ghost both times, did I smell anything? I can't remember if that was described.
The ghost you met at the docks, you smelt nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing at all. And it didn't feel like it was being blocked, but then when you're around particular ghosts, some of them leave either like smells or feelings behind, and this one seemed to be literally an image, like there was nothing.
Okay.
There.
Rajani, do you know of any spiritual experts where we could learn a little bit more about this kind of magic or what's it called? Projection that he seems to be capable of doing?
Do I? Because I know what one of my connections is, but I don't know if that's useful for this specifically.
One you do remember that was reported, and which Rajani, you would probably know, and maybe even Spurs would know. Spurs would at least know of. And that is Nerix and Hoaxen. And they're two rogue spirits that tend to, run about Doskvol in particular. They tend to like possessing the bodies of streetwalkers, not for a long amount of time. It's almost like a mischievous thing. But they're looking for someone. They always say they're looking for someone, but they never tend to explain who or why or what it is. The main element is that you get the feeling they're there to mess about. There's no real evil intent here, but they get around.
Yeah. Well, I do have a couple of friends who might be able to help, but it would be quite unorthodox, you could say.
Well, if you think, I certainly don't know much about that world, so I'm just wondering if it's worth consulting them, knowing what they know, to clarify what we've been experiencing, if you think it's worth it.
It may well be. If you're all comfortable with using a couple of possessor spirits as contacts.
Ah.
Oh.
They're very nice. Very fun.
Oh, they're nice possessor spirits.
Yeah, I hang out with them quite a lot, actually.
Before we do that, can you what was discussed with the sisters? Like, why did they want to see us other than the potential problems? Was anything resolved? Are we watching?
Yes.
Confirmed
Speaking
allies?
of magical experts, the sisters are having, you'll never guess, a problem with theft as well. One of their favored artifacts, a necklace. They're sending over an image and a description, so we'll know exactly what it looks like, was stolen. Similarly to what happened to us. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rajani, you examined their wards, but it seems to not have left any obvious physical clues.
Yeah, so that was, Odessa went and examined the
Oh,
ward.
right. Yes, Odessa examined the wards.
Nothing physical. But I was able to reach out and get some residual imagery of a figure walking in the room, seeming frantic and troubled, and sort of, it was almost as if there were multiple entities attached to them. And they picked up the item and left.
And you said it was a small male?
Yes. Sorry, it's been 2 weeks. Yes, it was a small man.
So the Dimmer sisters and we agreed to keep each other abreast of any clues each of us found, because it seems as if we're having the same problem. I don't believe we had the cunning in the moment to arrange some kind of reward for returning their necklace, but I have to assume that they would compensate us fairly somehow, maybe buy more product, something like that.
I'm sure they would. We also made sure to, me and Odessa set up some more wards, and I added a little something to them, so I'm sure they'll be grateful for that as well.
At the very least,
Dabo.
maybe they can do a little tit for tat too, considering they fired everybody they had doing their defenses.
Right. Dabo, we tried your trick, or I think rather, was it Spurs who tried your trick of pointing out that the Dimmer sisters helped us with our security and yet our stuff was stolen? Yeah, they didn't agree to pay us for it. It doesn't seem to have worked.
Wait, that was my trick? I didn't say accuse them of that.
Didn't you suggest that at one point, that the people
Yeah, but I
who...
didn't say accuse them of it. I said let's be aware of it and just let's see. I hope you were subtle. I hope you're like, by the way, Dabo, who's in the bathroom, said that you guys should give us money back for our shit since you did our security system.
No, we were so subtle that they don't seem to have responded. So rest assured, no one is offended. One just last passing thought, I suppose, for you, Rajani, because I truly don't know much about these things, but the last time I met a man who wore cologne as heavily as Carlisle, he had a foul tooth disease that was causing a scent he was desperately attempting to mask. Is there, I don't know, do husks smell? Is there any kind of reason that Carlisle and his sister would have a scent they need to cover up? At first I thought it was simply because he had been in the sewers. So maybe he was wearing the cologne to cover that scent. But if she wears her perfume so cloyingly as well, it almost seems unlike her.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there? I'm just looking on my descriptions. Is there anything tied to smell?
Well, I will say particularly, Rajani, as doing what you do, you may associate smell with some individuals. Whether it's as potent for everyone else, you're not sure. Nothing in particular when it's a husk or something like that. They might have a smell, but it's not necessarily something that is particularly associated with it. I will say that sometimes you get, there's a lot of smells in Doskvol that aren't nice, considering where you are. And normally, like, the smell of things like those who have passed on tend to smell a lot more potent than the ones. So if they've been like a spirit for a long time, the smell tends to fade. It's almost like the life of what they were lingers with them.
Okay. I can't say it's saying that's particularly heavily associated with husks. Though some of them have some kind of particular scent, it usually fades over time. It's not a sort of standout feature as far as I know. But maybe we could look into that perfumery at some point.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Spurs. Got him.
And we'd need to get a better look at Carlisle, at least follow his motions, find out his patterns. The way I see it, he's either a hollow, and it's just a bunch of clockwork moving around in a vaguely human shape that he's possessing, or he's a vampire, or he's some form of new kind of spirit that can take on a humanoid form.
Fun.
2 of those I can deal with. Third one, that's
I'd
going to
have
take
to
some
admit,
research.
It would be very interesting if he were the third kind.
Interesting.
Not that wishing that upon us, but how cool would that be?
Would be different. I always appreciate a new challenge. But I think hitting the, knocking over the perfumery would not be the worst idea. See if we can't pump the owner for some information, or if they're not there, certainly doing a little second story work, picking up what clues we can.
And we could just say, oh, we went to this fabulous party last night and these people had this amazing scent and we just had to find out where it was from. That would work, wouldn't it, Blue? That's
certainly. Certainly.
Yeah?
I don't know how we talk them into their client list of who else buys that perfume, if that's what you were thinking.
Well,
I almost
didn't he
can't
say
imagine.
Didn't he tell one of us where he bought it specifically?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just don't know how we're going to ask the merchant give us a list of everyone who buys Rose perfumes. Although at this point, honestly, there's too many clues. I can't imagine that we've been dealing with anyone but the Crowfields.
You can always take if asking doesn't work.
Or just, have a little sneaky look around
Little
the
rifle.
shop. A little rifle.
So that's one thing we can do. We can go to the perfumery.
Mm-hmm.
When the Dimmer sisters get us that description and image of the necklace that was stolen, do we want to go after that somehow?
I think it would be beneficial.
Certainly keep us in their good graces, and hopefully they can replace the wards that they said were quality, which obviously were not.
Okay, once we have the image, we can go to maybe the list of fences we're aware of and see if anyone's tried to sell something like this. I'm sure it's distinctive and valuable, so we can start with sort of the most high-end fences.
And we can also maybe inquire to my friends a little bit about
Yes, the fun
these goings on.
body possessors.
They're very nice.
They're very
I
okay.
promise. They've never possessed me, so
Excellent. What social circles I travel in these days.
they are the nicest ghosts I've ever met. I promise you.
Shall we call it I'd say night, but it looks like the sun is almost rising.
Yeah, we should get some sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back and make sure our supplies are protected.
What time is it?
It's kind of like maybe 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It's getting late. Nothing's open at the moment anyway. Even Doskvol closes off at some point. But yeah, you can definitely either all head back to your homes, or is anyone staying here, or...
I mean, what time are we going to get started tomorrow? Because it might just not even be worth it to head back to the docks.
Oh no, I'm sleeping in. Are you kidding? This has been the longest day ever. I think we were almost eaten like twice.
Oh yeah, that all had that all today, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll go home.
Okay. You can all head back to wherever it is you're staying. Does anyone stay in the casino, though?
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea since we keep getting robbed, but...
Yes. Yeah, actually. You know what? Considering that, I think Rajani would offer to stay and keep an eye on any arcane goings on. Potentially.
So is it just Rajani staying?
I think so.
Okay. You can all get back to your homes and get a good night's sleep. Rajani, you can sort of tuck up on one of the chairs. There's or take Odessa's table. It's whichever you prefer. But you all get a good night's sleep. The first to be woken will be Rajani, because you can hear banging on the door, like aggressive, like thumping on the door. And you can hear Thomas's voice, just like, "Hello, are you open yet? Hello."
Oh, no.
Like, he's sort of like banging, and he sounds angry. He does. This isn't a normal temperament for Thomas. Normally, he's quite well. He's not exactly talkative, but
Yeah.
you can hear him.
Okay.
It's not like a pause and another look. It's just a constant banging on the door until you open it.
Okay, yeah, she just like rolls off the table, and because she actually made the effort to put like some makeup on last night, her eyeliner is just like smudged everywhere, and she just like goes opens the door, is like, Thomas.
And he's just like,
What?
"I've got a problem," and he sort of pushes past and starts heading down the stairs.
Could you vocalize before you barge into my bedroom? I guess.
He
Just
sort of
slam
looks
the door
back-
shut behind him.
He looks back at you. He's like, "I did vocalize. That's why you opened the door."
No, I mean explain, please.
Well, I'm just a little bit frustrated right now. I was made aware last night that some of my ships have been sectioned for investigation, and I'm not happy about it. They won't even let me on board my own ships. They won't let me down at my docks. They won't let me into my warehouses, and I am not a happy man, Rajani.
Okay, I can understand that. Are they the ships that were robbed? Where your
No,
supply
all of
was?
all
Just-
of them. All my warehouses. Damn magistrates are out here just thinking they can take whatever they want.
Okay.
He's walking straight over to the bar. He's not taking a drink, but he's just sat there angrily, like fists clenched. This is a weird thing for you to see Thomas like. He's normally very calm, cool, and collected, but he's not happy right now.
Okay. This is like the last person to be left alone with Thomas. She goes up, sits next to him, and just kind of very awkwardly goes to pat him on the back and then takes her hand away. It's just like, well, do you know why they've sectioned your storage?
He sort of like turns it. No, not told me anything. Nothing at all. Don't know what to do. I've just been given this, and he slams like this piece of paper, which looks pretty crumpled up, where it's been in his pocket, down on the page, and it says that it has been signed by Judge Caslimora. That until further notice, upon investigation, his warehouses are out of his reach whilst they do the investigations, and they have taken under the control by the magistrates.
So would that be the Bluecoats or the Spirit Wardens investigating that?
This is the straight up magistrates of Doskvol. This can be both. This can be anything.
Okay. So it wouldn't be clear whether it was one or the other unless it says so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's quite shit. So I understand why you're angry. Just like pats her hair down because I assume it's very messy after sleeping in the bar.
And he sits there and he just seethes, and you can hear him mumbling like the name of this judge underneath his lips. As he's just sort of going under there. I'm not even allowed to get my own things, and who knows who's touching my things?
Yes, it must be frustrating. Do I know anything about Judge Mora?
Let's have a look. The most you know is, in fact, yes, probably because of the business you're in. Judge Caslimora is, she's not harsh, she's very authoritative more than anything else. She's not nasty or anything like that, but there have always been rumors that she has a tie to criminals, but then so many people could argue who doesn't in this
Yeah.
place. This seems to be more maybe a family tie than anything else. Particularly her brother and her father. And the joke amongst most people in the industry, more like Thomas's industry, is that she's easily bought.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter who's paying.
I guess remembering this, Rajani will ask him, can you think of anyone who might have wanted to influence them to do this?
No. And he just sort of looks confused, tense brow. He's like, why would they want my ships? The ships provide everything we need.
You were just robbed, and then as we began to attempt to investigate it, this happened. It seems... I mean, maybe they're just trying to investigate whoever robbed you in the first place, but it seems a bit extreme for that, don't you think?
Me? Why are they targeting me? Just me? They haven't targeted you. They haven't targeted anyone else. Why me?
Exactly. I don't know. Can you think of a reason?
And his eyes dart about the place where you can see where he's really thinking. He's like, no, I'm a delight.
Of course you are.
Why would anyone want to? I provide a great business to this city. Without the, I send the ships out. That's how we get the Leviathan blood. How else are we going to do it? We get stranded, then what are we going to do? What are you going to do?
I don't know. But I'm sure we can figure something out. We do have a contact, a magistrate, don't we?
Look, my supplies are in there. Blood goes off. The longer it sits in there, the more the price decreases.
I am very aware of that. I'm sure when the others get here, they'll be more than happy to help look into this for you, although it seems we have a lot of things to look into now. Do you know anything else about this?
About what? About them taking all of my things, touching them, and not letting me in my own warehouses?
Yes, emotionality aside. Or did you know? Did you find out? Were you told anything else that might be helpful?
No, I'm not allowed to know anything. I will be going down there later, and I will be taking some of my men with me.
Maybe hold off on that. Maybe wait until the others get here and we can all talk about this together before you go running off.
Rajani.
I know it is. She's getting very annoyed. Please just calm down.
Calm.
Have a drink, and we can all discuss this when the others get here.
Drinking doesn't solve problems, and he just sort of turns and sits on his stool. He doesn't move to go or anything. He's just, you can see he's seething.
Yeah. Rajani's just like, I tried to be nice.
You feel this isn't against you. It's literally he doesn't know how to contain himself more than anything else. He's never been a social butterfly.
So as he's sitting there stropping, Rajani will sort of like try to think about anything they know of that could like be connected to this. So we have a like Hawker ally who's a magistrate. Would that like connect into this at all?
You know that he would definitely be, when I say associate with Castellamora, they're not necessarily friends, but they sit on the same panel, we'll call it.
Right, okay. Does Tom know this? Because I know I said it to him, but I just presume because he's involved with our business that he would know. But
Sorry, say that again. My thing cut out.
oh, sorry. I was just saying, I know that I sort of mentioned it to Thomas. I just sort of assumed that he would know because he's associated with our business. But would he know about the magistrate, who's our ally?
He knows a lot of magistrates. If you have told him, it's not like he's forgotten. He just doesn't care that much. He doesn't like. You get the feeling he doesn't like magistrates. They make him sign a lot of paperwork for everything that comes in, and to him, it's an unnecessary step.
Yes. Yeah. Thomas.
Yes. And he sort of turns back around to you. I'm sorry, I lost my temper. It's not anything to do with you. I'm a little frustrated.
I can understand that, and I can see that, but I'm sure we can help you with this. You know about Roland Watt, don't you? I think we've told you about him before. One of the magistrates. Maybe we can pay him a visit.
You want to trust him? You know he's an inspector as well, right? Another blue coats.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of his lip curls up in a little bit of distaste. And you know that Roland Watt is a judge inspector, so he knows the blue coats, and his thing, which is why he doesn't get on with Castamora, he's here to root out corruption, and in his head, he is sat there whilst one of the highest magistrates is linked with corruption.
He's allied with us.
He doesn't know a lot about what you do, he just knows you run a casino.
Well, we are a reputable establishment, aren't we?
Yes.
And you are involved with our reputable establishment?
I am. And he sort of seems to be calming down and not really looking at you, sort of looking at the paper that he's put in front of you.
So I'm sure we can figure something out.
By your friend Roland Watt, does he know about your side business?
Do you think he does?
I have no right to assume anyone's relationship.
He does not know about that.
Good to know. I won't say anything then.
Yeah.
And he sort of sits back.
As far as he's concerned, we are the finest casino in Brightstone.
And he sort of reaches behind the bar and takes out a bottle and a glass. He's like, that you are.
That we are. Can I have a read of the paper? Would he let me if I just had a little...
Yeah, he pushes it. It's literally it's the letter signed by Castamora, basically withholding almost all of his property other than his own home.
Yeah, is there any information that he neglected to tell me on there that I pick up on, or is it all
No,
just
you
the
read
same?
it all. It's very much like you get this as it feels like an official document where they're trying to tell as little as possible rather than being informative.
Okay.
And so waking up in the morning, where do we find Spurs? Is he back at his home? Is he already making his way to the casino, or is there somewhere else he's going?
I think he's slept like a couple hours, like maybe 5-6 tops. So it's early-ish in the morning. He's already been up. He's done his little morning ritual. He's burnt a little prayer scroll or something in his little brazier. And he's on his way by carriage back to the 13th floor.
You head off in the carriage. It's a ride you know very, very well, going past all the familiar streets, people starting to open up their shops. You do actually see the perfume store Doskvol delights as it goes past, and you see people starting to open it, and it looks over the top. You know, it doesn't look right in the street it's in. And you can see a man setting up as you go. You also see a lot more blue coats on the street. They seem to be moving, almost like the spirit wardens. They tend to move in pairs. At the moment, they're in sixes, and they're sort of patrolling the streets in sections. It looks, from as you drive past in this carriage, you can tell they seem to be doing patrols rather than just casual wandering and checking things. You can definitely tell some of them are headed down towards the docks, a great number of them. But there's just a lot more on the street now. And as you pull up at the 13th floor and you can get out of the carriage, you do see some going from door to door. They don't seem to be questioning people, but they seem to be checking that everything is okay and there's been no disturbances. And they move on. You can definitely overhear that as you're pulling up. They're not being quiet about it.
Yeah, I'd like to gather some information. So from the list of questions, I want to know what's really going on here. Perhaps by surveying.
I was going to say, if you want to roll a survey, if you want to, you can almost like listen in a conversation.
And like piece together detail based on what I know of their emotions and
absolutely
patterns.
So roll a survey for me.
Position and effect.
Controlled and standard.
Okay.
You sort of get out of the carriage and you linger there for a moment. Maybe you're pretending to get a bag out. Maybe you're trying to, you're sort of half using the carriage door to hide behind, and you can hear the conversation between these blue coats and this woman. This not an old woman, but an older woman who they're asking, has she heard anything? Has she seen anything? And she seems quite panicked. She said she keeps hearing things in the night, that she heard tiles being smashed on her roof, as if someone was running across them, and that she has this sort of, she's portraying to you that she doesn't feel safe. And I will say, especially from where you're stood looking over at the blue coats, you watch their faces, this does not look like news to them.
Okay. Yeah, I think Spurs has leaned over. He's got like a rag from his jacket and he's pretending to polish his boots. Like looks at the heel, like, this looks good enough to me. I have enough information. And he looks around, stuffs the rag back in his jacket, shakes it, and then walks in.
Okay. Before you go in, you watch the blue coats leave. This older lady sort of sits there wringing her hands on the, as she stands on the doorstep. She does go out briefly to look at her roof, and you do see a few tiles smashed on the floor, but otherwise she disappears back into the house. And you can go to the 13th floor. Okay. Blue, where are you making your way from?
I believe it's called the Six Towers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Formerly Nice District. So I grew up in a lovely big old manor house in Six Towers, and as the neighborhood has gone kind of sour, basically it's just been turned into like really terrible like apartments, and I just live in like one tiny apartment in the corner. I don't want to move. I love my old address, but I actually only live in like a tiny studio apartment.
What does it look like on the inside? Like, what does Blue do to make herself feel at home, effectively?
It's got a little bit of a Grey Gardens vibe, because as the manor house kind of got turned into these apartments, I went in and I would like take everything nice out of it. So it's a really small apartment, but it has a huge chandelier and like an absurd number of like candelabras. And I've just like mounted like wall sconces everywhere. I've just tried to keep everything nice that I can. But there's like a leak in the roof, the floor is concrete. Everything is a little bit like poorly maintained.
Okay.
And it was a long day, so I think I'm gonna sleep in a little and head over probably closer to like noon.
Okay. Well, you wake up in the morning. What would Blue do like to wake up? What's morning routine effectively? Like is she a bit of a sort of lounges a little bit, takes the morning slow, or?
Oh yeah, I mean I think so. I wake up, fall back asleep, wake up, fall back asleep, wake up, read a kind of like trashy romance novel in bed for like 30 minutes, and then kind of like finally acquiesce to the fact that all right, this is the day, like you got to do what you got to do, and that'll take a good little while to make myself look as presentable as possible. Kind of remove last night's makeup, put on new makeup, and head over, and I'll probably stop at like a pub on my way, and just get a little bit of breakfast, probably somewhere in Six Towers.
Yeah, you can stop at one of the small taverns that are definitely there. The Six Bells, named after the towers. And as it is, you sort of sit in there. It's quite a nice one. As much as the area's gone down a little bit, it's still a pretty nice tavern. And you go in, you can get your normal breakfast. And I will say you hear chatter. And this place is normally somewhere you can hear a lot of gossip, but it's normally about, who's losing money, who is doing this, that, and the other. But this, you can hear a different sort of chatter, almost like a worry. You see two fairly well-dressed ladies, and they're sat sort of doing something very similar to you, just having almost like a brunch. And there's a mix of excitement and worry in their voices as they're talking about strange goings on that happen in the night, particularly last night.
And you said they're women?
Yes.
I'm intrigued. I'm gonna go up to them and kind of present myself as sort of like a worried local resident, maybe quite fearful, just new to the area. I used to live somewhere a little bit more respectable, and so I just want to know what I'm getting myself into. What's been going on? Should I be afraid? Should I get roommates? And see if they'll tell me anything.
Okay.
And I can do a sway.
I was gonna say, roll a sway for me. Do a sway just because you're trying to approach their table.
Okay. Controlled standard.
And controlled and standard. Oof. You sort of walk over and they look a bit awkward as soon as you approach, almost like they go quiet. And one of them in particular looks at you as like, can I help you?
I heard you talking about the most frightful things, and I live alone. I'm new to the neighborhood, and I just want to know what I should be on the lookout for. I'm a bit timid about these kinds of things. I haven't lived in Six Crows very long.
You mean you didn't hear anything last night?
No, I'm a rather heavy sleeper. Should I be on the lookout at night? Should I avoid going out by myself in the evenings or anything?
And she looked at you. Yes, you should not be going out on your own at the evenings. Have you not heard what's going round?
No, is it robberies? Indecent men?
And she sort of looks at you and leans in. They don't know what it is, but they say a man who runs across rooftops, who can jump 100 feet in the air and breathe fire.
I've never heard of anything like that. That is terrifying. I shall be sure to keep my windows bolted.
And she's sort of, it's best you do. And she sort of, there's a moment where this other one sort of puts her hand over this other one and she sort of shakes it off. People are going missing.
No. Oh my lord. I shall save up and try to move somewhere a little bit less terrifying. What a terrifying rumor. Surely the bluecoats are on it.
Well, this is the thing. And she sort of pauses and this other one grabs her hand again and then turns to look at you. It's like, do you mind if we continue our brunch?
Yes, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Well, thank you for the warning. I shall be extremely careful, ladies. And I'll leave them alone.
She gives you a little bit of a look as you go. And then they seem to go back to their chatter.
So I'm going to take the long way to the 13th floor because Blue's got a big network of just like friends and contacts. And I'm basically going to stop off in all these neighborhoods. And it's almost like a weekly chore. Like I'm just like renewing it. Small talk, little gift for this person. I learn gossip from person A and I give it to person B. Learn gossip from person B and so on and so forth.
Okay, I'll say if you'll stop making all of these pit stops, you definitely get this information of there's something going on and it's not normal. Like some people are talking about how, well, it's obviously spirits, playing up or something that is just, trying to trick people. And then you get others that are far more, that you can see a fear in their faces of people going missing. And look at the damage done to the top of our roofs and things like that. So there's a real mix of people who think it's nothing and other people that seem genuinely scared.
Interesting. Noted.
Okay. And you can head to the 13th floor. Odessa, where are you this morning as you wake up?
She is laying in her shack behind the I don't know what the right word is, but I'm gonna go with brothel in the Red Lamp district. And she's basically turned the crates of ghost blood, fiend blood, whatever it was called, into a bed, and like made a bed on top of it and is sleeping on top of that.
Yeah, you sort of wake up to, it doesn't happen every morning, but you hear the usual sounds. You hear the city coming alive. You can hear the water behind the back, sort of doors starting to open, lots of people filing in. You can hear people on the streets, and the thing that you really hear is the skittering from that small hole in the top of your shack where this bat's head, this muzzle sort of pokes through, almost like it's trying not to wake you, but it's you can hear it almost like running around in the roof through the gap and pokes its head through the small hole in your ceiling.
Yeah, as she slowly wakes up before her eyes open, she's like, yeah, Draco, your breakfast is coming. Give me a minute. And gets back up, looks under the crates just in case. She slept on top of it all night, but she looks inside, counts them, makes sure every single bottle is still there, has the one extra still within her leg just in case everything goes missing. She's got one on hand at all times. And she's going to grab one of her lamb racks in her tiny little ice box and chuck it out the door for him.
Yeah, you
give him a nice little morning shake.
You swing it up and you hear that crunch and the sort of the happy sort of gnawing on the side as he sort of scurries down the side of the wall and comes and sits by you.
Hey, baby.
And there's that moment where before you even leave the shack when you're going to go, he sort of always looks as if, is he going with you? Or are you telling him to stay?
No, Draco, you're gonna have to stay behind again today. I'll leave some extra legs out for you, just in case, but just, make sure you come by, check out, sniff around, see if anyone's been peeking at my shack. And
there's that moment as he scurries back up in the wall, and the head you can see poke back out, and just where you're sleeping, which is on top of the crates, where he seems to stay, but you can hear that chomping up in the ceiling as well.
I'm gonna take my secret passages out of the shack instead of like using any front or back entrances of the brothel or the alleyways. I'm gonna go down into the sewers and maybe take like 1 or 2 streets before I pop back up and head out towards the 13th floor.
Absolutely. You know the route. You've been here so many times before, and you head back out into the street. Again, you also see a lot of blue coats around. They're in groups of 6 to 8. Almost marching around, and you get the feeling in a way they're kind of parading themselves as well, to show their presence more than anything else. I will say you also see quite a few of them looking down alleyways. They seem to be looking for something rather than anything else in particular.
This is a higher number than is normally out and about.
Normally you see them in 2s, like literal pairs walking around, but this is like 8, 6 to 8 in groups. And you're recognizing, I'd say because you'd be used to some of the street patrols, you're recognizing new faces, like new recruits are coming in here as well.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna, once I'm out and I've been walking a few yards, I'm gonna approach one of the groups and just say, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. See, there's a lot of you out on the streets today. Is there something I should be aware of on my way to work today?"
There's a moment where they all do acknowledge you and nod, but one of them steps forward. This woman, fairly tall, long blonde hair, but definitely tied back tight. And she looks to you, it's like, nothing to worry about, ma'am. We're just... And she looks towards one of her other fellow blue coats. That we're just, making sure the streets are safe for all of you. We do, as always, advise returning to your home before it gets too late.
Of course. It's just an unusual number of you out today, I guess. Just sets my alert on high.
Oh, yes. Well, better to be safe than sorry.
Indeed. All right, well, I guess safe on your daily shift as well.
And she sort of stands to attention and nods and smiles at you. Could you make a survey, please?
Sure.
Control down standard.
I always forget what I'm clicking on when I have to roll.
Okay. You do see them, as you did before, looking down the side of some of the alleyways. You don't really see anything apart from just sort of what looks like, and you've seen things like this before. This is not something too uncommon, but they seem to be particularly crowding around this one. There is a black scorch mark up one of these walls, as if like it's felt intense heat. And you can see that this woman is smiling, and almost it's that awkward move along face. But they seem to be particularly interested in this.
Can I tell what the building is? Like,
the building is just a home. It is like on the outside. It's like that tiny gap in between 2 homes itself. It looks like an alleyway that goes down, and it tends to just lead to more homes.
Is this still within the Red Lamp District or just outside?
This isn't within the Red Lamp District.
Oh, okay.
Like as you're leaving it, it's just leaving on the outside.
Okay. Can I try to sneak another peek in the alley as I'm walking past?
Yeah, go for it. If you're making a point of doing it, roll another survey for me, please.
Okay.
Okay. You look towards this wall, and as you walk past, you notice it's not just scorch marks here. There are some huge scrapes in the brickwork, and the fact that it's made dents in the brickwork, this is something sharp. and it's almost claw like sort of things. It's got more of it's not 5 claws, it's 6.
Whoa.
And you can see more because you sort of move around the bluecoats briefly. They're trying to block it off themselves, but it looks like whatever this is has climbed the wall. And this is a straight wall. There are no balconies. There's no sort of anything this could actually use to physically climb other than the brickwork itself.
Mm-hmm. And the claws are like in a pattern of quadruped creature, or okay.
It looks to be particularly just hands. However, the marks beneath it are just one long scrape, as if it was like one blade or claw or something that's carved out.
Okay. Yeah, just on my way towards the 13th floor, I'm just going to keep an eye on all the other buildings and like the roofs, the sides, the alleyways. I'm sure there isn't much left, but just going to also keep my eyes open for any more evidence of a giant creature.
Okay. And on your way, you see more of those blue coats sort of moving closer and closer. They don't seem to stop too much by the 13th floor, but you can head there and you can see Spurs stepping out of the carriage. And I think that is where we will take our break. We will be back in a moment, so everyone go get a drink, stretch, tell your pets you love them, and we will be back in just a moment.
Quadruped.
Hi, everyone. We are now going to hop over to 2 for 1. Where would we find Dabo at this? Like, where does Dabo live?
I suspect he has some sort of estate in the upper town, upper
Mhm.
side somewhere. And, he'll begin his day getting dapper and immediately, right back to business and start heading towards the 13th floor. But I think he would walk. He would walk and just, again, view that crowd and view the people and see if there's anybody in distress or somebody. And then, with no one
Is he
looking,
an early riser? Like, does he get up early?
I would say early, but he wouldn't leave until he knew people were out and about, so he can just keep eyes and ears on things.
Okay.
Seeing if he wants to do a good deed for somebody today and indulge in his vice. Like giving somebody a helping hand. Somebody's worthy of his time and his mind. I think he holds everybody in content. I think that's his thing. Everybody's held in content. So,
Okay. Could you roll a survey for me then, please?
Sure.
Controlled and standard.
Let's see here. Survey.
Straight up 6. Okay. You're sort of walking down the street that you know so well. Thank you for those biddies. And you walk down the street that you know really well. And again, like the others, you spot all of these blue coats out. I will say that you see 4 together, and with them is a spirit warden. And this spirit warden seems to be maybe a higher rank, and they seem to be following something. Again, talking to people in the homes. You notice the spirit warden is standing back from the blue coats as they talk to the individuals that come to the door. I'd say you know Rajani well enough to notice this spirit warden is standing back so that they can read the situation. They can read whatever it is these people are talking about. You also see a couple of wardens, a bit like Odessa does, looking at what looks to be like in between houses. It's the small alleyways in between where these marks seem to appear. You also see the spirit warden sort of picking up what looks like fallen roof tiles and slates, looking up. He never goes too far away from the blue coats, but he's definitely keeping a distance, like he's reading the situation.
Now, do I know that can they read thoughts, or they're reading for spiritual presence?
It's more spiritual presence. It's not thought reading. It's going to be, they're trying to feel a spiritual presence, probably to work out what the problem is.
Right. Okay. Who's the magistrate that's our contact?
Roland Watt.
Miss Magistrate Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you know he's actually very much in charge of the blue coats.
Yeah.
He is a judge and inspector. He knows you just as a casino worker. He does not know that you deal in demon blood.
Right. Okay. I'm going to approach them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you approaching the blue coats or the spirit warden?
The spirit warden.
Okay. He sort of stands there. You can notice him sort of looking around. He stands very still, but he's definitely looking at every single inch. And as you sort of approach, he turns and looks at you. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't want to interrupt your surveying, but Dabo from the 13th floor.
I've heard of the 13th floor.
Yeah, somewhat associate of Magistrate Watt, and I mean, anybody with half a sense can see there's so many things going on, and I'm just wondering if there's any information privy to an establishment owner like myself.
And he pauses and looks at you for a moment. Could you
roll? I'll match him eye to eye.
Yeah, could you roll a consort or a sway, please? I'll let you pick.
Oh, I'm really good with consort. I have 2 dice in there. I'll do that one.
Go for that. And that is controlled and standard again.
All right, stand by.
Okay. He sort of looks you up and down for a moment and then holds out a hand to you and shakes it. It's like, I know Roland Watt. He's a good man. I can advise you to be aware of... He sort of looks around. He's like, if I'm honest, I'm not too sure. But there's definitely some form of discrepancy and disturbances going on.
Yeah, indeed. You know, running an establishment like that, you can't help but hear the customers murmur and talk. You're always, you know, trying to gain knowledge. Apparently, there's some people that are experiencing, well, all sorts of things that you deal with, as far as thefts, and I've even heard mention of those scorch marks and tile drops. So I'm just wondering, again, your warning is well taken, but you know, as an establishment owner, it's very unnerving.
And he looks to you, and he himself seems slightly unnerved. And I say you see the scorch mark and almost like these deep claw marks in the brick. And he's definitely got a confused look on his face. He's like, I myself am unnerved. And I am very much at home around spirits. And I know a demon when I see one, but... And he pauses. I'm more concerned because I'm not picking up anything of that sort here.
Well, there's also been some rumors that one of yours were killed by somebody.
And his eyes sort of go wide for a moment. He's like, I have heard there are rumors.
I'll take that answer as you're not at liberty to discuss it and respect your privacy on the matter.
And he gives you a short nod. You feel like it's the spirit wardens, you know, are quite a tight-knit group, so it's probably a shock when some of them start disappearing.
Yeah. But obviously information when you own an establishment and things like this is happening, information is prudent. And at the same time, owning an establishment like I have, we gain information just by people walking in the door and talking and indulging in gambling or drinking. So if I find out anything, I'll seek you out. Just you, though. And if you think I should be privy to information with that offer, you know where to find me.
And he looks to you and he just gives you a short nod. There's a slight smile there, but it's a friendly one. It's, thank you. 13th floor, you said, didn't you?
There are times when I understand some people are scared of each other, or you own that casino that indulges in gambling and vices of. I understand in times like that, people could have judgmental opinions towards each other, obviously not knowing the facts. You judge by the rumors you hear. But there's also a time where, well, you know, you have to put certain differences aside to do what's right for, to protect each other. So I don't view us as enemies, but the enemy of my enemy is a friend, as I guess I would say. This greater thing that's happening is obviously way more of a threat to me than any rumors or anything else. So let's just leave it at that, if that works for you. Again, I'll come directly to you. And your name was?
And he holds his hand out for you to shake. He's like, I'm Joseph Marway.
Joseph Malway.
Yes.
All right. And I'll shake his hand and I'll say, I know that if any of my associates or something, well, I guess I can understand having a tight-knit group of friends or a tight-knit group of anything when something like this happens. You're starving for answers. And I'm starving for answers myself on certain things. So, again, I'll come to you, Joseph. I'll try to find you if I can find anything out for you.
And you, sir. And he sort of gives you a nod when you can hear one of the blue coats call out to him, and he's like, "It was a pleasure talking to you.
You as well. Good day to
Stay
you."
safe." And he sort of moves on.
I'll walk away and I won't look back at all. That's the main thing I want to emphasize. I'll just...
Okay. You walk. Are you walking straight to the 13th floor?
Yeah, I'm going to walk straight to the 13th floor, and I don't think that really counts as indulging in my vice, but because I'm trying to get something out of it. So if I see anything else, a theft on the street or some bum ridden or anything like that, you know, let me know, and then I would obviously try to judge the situation, and maybe I can indulge in an act of kindness. Maybe.
Okay. Right now there doesn't seem to be a loadout, mainly because of how many blue coats around the street. But you can definitely arrive at the 13th floor. I will say Spurs and Odessa, you can just be going in because you sort of arrive almost at the same time. Rajani, you're already there with Thomas, and Blue. You can arrive almost as 2 for 1. Also rocks up. And if you want, you can all head in. And when you do head in, you can see Thomas sat at the bar already. This is even quite early for him. But where would Rajani be? Or what is Rajani doing right now?
He would have tried to stay sat at the bar with Thomas as much as possible because she sensed that he maybe needed a person there, but after a while the conversation just ran dry. So when the others come in, she literally looks up so relieved to see them. It's just like, hi, good morning. We have another situation to deal with.
Oh, wonderful.
Gestures
More
to him.
Spirit activity over the night?
Not spirit activity necessarily, but Thomas has had his assets taken by either the spirit wardens or the blue coats or something. They're investigating
He's
all
like,
his
by
warehouses.
Castle and More, as he sort of turns around and looks, and he spits the name.
That old money bags. Why didn't you just buy her off, Thomas?
Giving my money to her.
How have you? That's how everything works in Doskvol.
And he sort of
you give her money,
grimaces.
she leaves.
She's not taking the money.
That is not like her.
Even I know that's unusual.
It's either because someone has outbid him, or there's another reason.
On the spiritual front, there's some talk in my neighborhood of a beast or a demon or it's really just a rumor, but it's a man who can leap across roofs effortlessly, 100 feet, and breathe fire. It's an eccentric rumor, even for the drunk old ladies of Six Crows.
Yeah.
So
they're not lying about it. There's tiles in the street. The blue coats are absolutely onto it.
Great, it's going to be even more of them and the spirit wardens around. Fantastic.
Any chance this is the person you saw? I mean, climbing walls, jumping roofs, sort of seems like of one skill set.
I mean, it would make some sort of sense, wouldn't it?
You didn't see any scorch marks.
Wouldn't be out of the realm of reason. No, but we didn't see any fire or anything like that. Doesn't mean that if it's the same creature or even if it's Carlisle with some kind of enhancing abilities, that he wouldn't be able to do that. It's not unreasonable to think.
Look, I don't want to be crass, but I mean, you should never let a good crisis go to waste. I just am wondering if it can somehow play out in our favor that everyone's suddenly so jumpy and in fear of the, I don't know what to call him, jumping spider dragon man.
It's a brilliant name. Well, yes, they're going to want to come and indulge and forget all their worries, aren't they? And she just kind of gestures to the bar.
That's true. That's true.
Well, one idea is we stay open for business, of course, and find a way to lure in this jumping spider dragon thing.
Out of character, we sell demon blood. What is it mostly used for other than like officially powering the lightning towers? Do people have personal protective devices that it powers?
You would know that a lot of your high society clients use it. One, like the Dimmer Sisters, they do literally bathe in it to sort of sustain them, as it were. A lot of people you work with tend to believe in cults, believe in a lot of arcane sort of magic, I guess, that sort of side of things. Some people, literally have it as a bit of a status thing. They bring it out at parties and go, well, I have access to this. It's also used for seances and things like that in particular. That at the moment is kind of popular, particularly in big households, for people who have passed on far on, not just wandering the streets. I mean, passed on.
Cool.
Remind me again, when Rajani saw the face in the wall, she saw that where? In the catacombs?
Oh, that was Odessa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Odessa saw the face in the wall. It was in the catacombs. And so Odessa, when you saw that face in the wall, which you identified who it was, do you think that's the being that stole our goods? Do you think that this is the being that same person that's climbing up and spider climbing and running along roofs? Is he getting this enhanced ability from the demon blood he steals from people?
That I don't think. I don't know if those two are related. This giant demon, perhaps he has some sort of control over it. I don't know. And that giant thing left a mark. It didn't seem to leave any marks in our storage room when we first had supplies trickling out of our storage. So I don't know if it was that creature in particular, and I can't say if it was Carlisle in particular who invaded our supply room, but he seems to have the ability to pop in and out of places. It's possible he has some kind of ties with whoever's doing this, some kind of arrangement, helping them get in and out.
And he's the one who killed the Greycoat?
We the Spirit Warden, we think he probably was. We think it was probably the same.
Tiffany, you spent the most time with him at the party, right?
Blue did her best. I did my best to leave a good impression. I don't know if I maybe just had a little bit too much champagne. I'm not sure he was too taken with me. I did introduce him to some new customers, and he did promise to make Rajani a new outfit. So we have good pretense for meeting up with him again if Rajani will agree to serve as a clothes horse.
That's one thing, or maybe indulge him for a drink and try to get more information out of him.
He's not really the type to loosen up, shall we say. I agree he's our number one suspect. He has means. We don't know his motive.
He seemed very business oriented, so maybe the business approach would work better with someone like him.
Here's what I'm thinking.
He was business oriented.
You know me, I want to go kick the door in and talk to the guy, but Spurs does too, I share. But maybe, Blue, maybe we stage some sort of argument in front of the 13th floor where we tell you you're not welcome here or something. or we just stage something and you go to him for whatever reason and say, look, I'm looking for a new line of work or whatever. Infiltrate, talk to him. And then at the same time, be like, you know what, though? I got to get those guys back. So I can get them to let me back in, but I really want to get back at them for them Xing me out of this business. So then when he sees you back here, he'll think you're doing that. I don't know. You seem very sly and sweet talkable, so.
Normally I would flatter myself with those qualities, but he actually liked Rajani a lot more. I think we might be able to do this. Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but a little bit more your way. We have plenty of good pretense to get them out of their house, right? We could bring them both here to make us new outfits. I think Odessa expressed interest, Rajani expressed interest. We could say we need new uniforms for our staff, so he has to come along. It's a business deal. And when we'll know their house is empty. And I think we should just break in and look for clues. By clues, I mean our stuff.
So some
They might
people
have
infiltrate the
wards up
house.
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rajani. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Sorry. So some people stay here and distract them while others infiltrate the house.
Yes.
What about their wards? And they must have wards like we have and hidden rooms and stuff like that. I mean, this person could have been coming here as a spirit for months to try to figure out where everything was. It's not like we just left it out in the open. They had
Yes.
They had to
We
navigate
won't
it.
know until we get there.
But we're
I
good at getting
suppose-
past wards, aren't we? And by we, I mean Spurs and Odessa.
But
I
Odessa
thought-
would have to be here, me and
Odessa has to
Odessa.
be here for the outfits.
But Spurs and
I
you,
could-
Dabo, could be gone.
I mean, I don't even mind putting on some mask and just smash it and whatever. I don't care if we put on a mask and just if the cameras see us, they see us. I'd prefer an all-out confrontation. Just sneaking around.
There's no cameras.
There's no cameras in this
There's
one.
no cameras.
Camera, what's that?
Look,
It's his term
Assassination.
for onlooker. He's trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen, Dabo.
we've already marked him by scent. I don't care. I don't
I
care if
agree
we
with
get marked by his. I don't care if he marks us by our scent or we leave a clue behind. He identifies that we're on to him.
I agree with the first part of what you're saying, but not the second.
Yes,
We
let's try to sneak in.
Of
It's
course
far
he's-
too early to.
Look, okay, let me be more clear. I don't mind trying to sneak in. I don't mind looking around, lurking. The plan of luring him here sounds great. We go there, Spurs and I, and if we trip an alarm or we get made out or we get marked, I don't care.
I do.
I would be as careful. Well, just assume, okay, so let's say we can't sit there and go and say, hey, we're going to go and be able to bypass everything. We have to identify that there's a worst case scenario, and that is that he marks us. So if he marks us, well, now we're on level playing ground. So there's no harm in that.
There's also the option that we take all of this to their location, wherever their main operations take place. We all arrive, propose this business deal of new uniforms, and they have a sense of security seeing us all there. And some people slip off
Oh, I have to go to the bathroom.
and explore. And then if
That
there's
sounds
some
good.
kind of wards that they have when they're not present, their guards are a little bit down.
And
Is
then
there
all of
a
us are
member-
there potentially to help deal with anything we encounter.
Here's
That's
the counter,
true.
here's the
That's true.
counterpart to that, Odessa. Or here's the counterpart to that. The counterpart to that is we got his scent and we knew his scent and we didn't identify it was him until we saw him again. I had no interaction with him. So even if I leave my scent or some clue behind, as long as I stay away from him, he'll never identify it's me. And therefore won't be back to you.
Did speak
I had
with spells.
forgotten. I had forgotten that he hadn't really interacted with you, Dabo. What if? I think it's always best to have a card up your sleeve. So what if we all go for a meeting at their place, except Dabo, who can sneak in while we're there? Because we'll all be there to help. We can let you in, or one of us can go off to the bathroom and try and sneak you in. But I think it'll be nice to have at least one element of surprise, should the worst occur, rather than them knowing all of us, right, and all of us being there.
Okay, so do we do that by going there, or is there a better chance of finding things if I just go there? Spurs, how much interaction did you have with this guy?
Oh, we had a couple chats here and there. He's got a sense of what we do. He's got a sense of who I am. Nothing too particular, but he would know me.
Okay, so the plan is to either, we have two plans and we'll just put it to a vote. We either go there, everybody but me, I sneak in afterwards and try to look around, or we lure them here and Spurs and I go there and sneak around without them there.
The thing that makes me worry about that is that Odessa's good with wards. I'm good with arcane stuff. And if we are here, then we can't help you with that in the house.
So
It seems like we're leaving important assets behind.
Do you like option 2?
It could be incredibly dangerous to walk into their house, but at least we would all be together.
Okay. Blue?
Good option 2. More
Odessa?
the merrier.
Yeah, option 2. I say we go to them because there's a higher chance that he just might say, I'm too busy to come to you, being the head of the business.
Okay. Now understand the other side of this coin is we go there. I'm all for it. Let's try it. But if I get tricked by a ward or something, and you have to help me, he might get onto us, and now it turns into, oh, never mind. Let's not worry about that. That's what I want anyway, and all of confrontation. So it doesn't matter. Fine,
There's risk either way, isn't there?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm happy with going there. Let's go there.
But at least in this one, if you're caught, we can all immediately leap into action.
Right.
Exactly. Rather than the
As
two
opposed to
of you
being
on your
back
own.
here.
Is that our plan, though, to leap into action, say he gets caught, or is it help us if we pretend not to know you, Dabo?
Dabo who?
Oh, just lead me to my vices with the demon guy. That's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
I think if he's this aware and has the capabilities that we're hypothesizing he does, it's not really going to matter, ultimately. Even if we try and deceive him, he's probably going to see through it, or it won't matter and he'll gut Dabo like a fish.
Now, there's one more card in play. I talked to a gray coat named Joseph on the way here. Just introduced myself because we know the magistrate. And I had just said that, at the 13th floor, we hear a lot of rumors. We hear a lot of people talking. One thing about that place where you indulge in vices such as gambling and drinking, there's the benefit of knowledge. And I had said I had heard a rumor of what had happened to one of theirs. He didn't say anything back. I said, I'll take your silence as your answer. You're not at liberty to discuss. But I'll tell you what. It's a dangerous time for people like us who own an establishment with everything that's going on. And knowledge is power. So if we find out anything about the gray coat, I would go to you and talk to you about it. And if you think that's a worthy offer, perhaps if you found out something, you would let me know. I could also go to the gray coat and if we're going to arrive there at 5, tell the gray coat, like, hey, listen, this guy's going to be there at 6 o'clock. You should investigate him. That's also another distraction if the gray coats are knocking on his door.
I don't know if we have enough to go on that doesn't also damn us to get them on our side.
I also made very mention to him that if one of mine were missing, whatever rumors they may have heard about, whatever rumors we may hear of gray coats, how mysterious they are, how if they're working for us or against us for the people or whatever rumors there are. You've heard the same rumors about our establishment, that people go there and there's drunken orgies. I kind of planted a seed that the enemy of our enemy is our friend. We know that they're a tight-knit group, and we know that they will explore any lead to find out what happened to one of their members. That at least we can agree on. I'm just saying we could broach.
Did he tell you anything about the jumping spider dragon man?
I think he kind of knew that I already had heard about it, so we didn't indulge in that. His biggest thing was, I'm more unnerved that I'm not seeing anything right now, which means to me, now that I say it, they're starving for answers. They're starving for leads.
Not seeing anything?
Such as when they're reading and trying to understand, much like you do, he's not getting anything.
No residue, no...
I mean, if he is, he was
sense.
shrouded. If he is, he was shrouded about it, but he spoke in a calm manner until he brought that up. His voice kind of changed a little bit.
But Rajani, you felt residue from the crow fields.
Exactly. So this could be something completely different.
Two different.
You could also, Rajani, now
dangers.
that I've talked to him, we could also hide that we know of our suspicion, and you could also just talk to him too and say, here's what I'm experiencing. If you are able to get something that he's not, the enemy of our enemy is our friend. Maybe they'll want to try to help out.
I think it could be dangerous for Rajani and Spurs to discuss seeing a spirit warden stabbed in front of them, doing nothing, and then rolling his body into the canal. But I do think our encounter in the catacombs, we didn't do anything wrong. We absolutely had a right to be down there. We were the ones who were attacked. And as for keeping that a secret, the ship has sort of sailed, seeing the amount of architectural damage in the neighborhood we caused. So we could go to them to discuss the face in the wall, or maybe the eye monster. There's no names for any of these things.
Right. So I wasn't saying tell them. I specifically said don't tell them that you know about the knowledge of it. But right now they're starving for leads, and right now, in all honesty, if we're willing to work with them, we're also least to gain their eye or their attraction. I mean, the easiest form of deception is right to your face. So if we extend a hand to them, I don't think it puts us at risk of what our business is. And I think
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know this. I got such a sense from that spirit that it wanted to be helped, and if we involve spirit wardens in it, it's not going to be helped, it's going to be eviscerated.
Plus, the Dimmer sisters do hate spirit wardens, so although I like the idea of having spirit warden allies and starting to make inroads, we have to be careful, because our other allies detest them. Would hate to think we were.
Well, think about it like this. How many people were invited to their party that they can't stand, but they do it because they're trying to gain some sort of knowledge or power? You saw the way they looked at something. It was all held in
This is a bit more
we're not extending a hand to become allies with these guys. We're using them as a distraction while we break into the guy's house that we suspect is causing most of the problems. We're using them and their weakness of wanting to find the lead to our advantage.
So why don't we do this? I don't think we should mention that anything happened to us for now.
I didn't.
Maybe even instead of going through you, Dabo, we could turn in an anonymous tip through the city's messenger service to this particular spear warden, or even any other spear warden, and just say, anonymous tip, the Crowfields are involved in your fallen brother. And send it a few hours before we depart.
We could do that too. But I think also that, look, we share a lot of information with each other. We all also have a lot of things that we do on our own. We trust each other. Consider the Greycoats the same way. Everyone might want to try to find. Just consider for a second that they might all I want to work with this outside crew who has information, but I know that the Greycoats would never want to divulge information. I'm not at liberty to discuss things, but I have to discuss things so I can get lead from my fallen brother. They don't really ever need to know where I got the information from. He can then talk to whoever he trusts in the Greycoats to assist him. He might also not be able to publicly help us, but want to help us deep down inside.
This was a passing interaction with the man.
Well, I have a pretty good read on people. What do you want from me? Or we can just listen. Or the option is to just go to their house and just don't leave me behind, or leave me behind. That's what we're talking.
I think we should definitely go to their house.
These wardens, these people, their motives are pretty simple, and if we're stringing them along with information, I don't think we have too much cause to worry that they'll turn their backs on us and, I don't know, take our business down. Basically, I'm saying everyone has their price, and I think we grease their palms a little bit with something that they're interested in. That's enough to get them on our side for a moment.
He mentioned one more thing. He didn't mention any care about ghosts or anything like that. They're looking for a demon. He specifically said demon.
In terms of the Spirit Warden's killer, or in terms of the monster that climbs walls?
He just said he had mentioned demon, nothing about ghost or his job. Their focus right now is obviously the greater bad, but to them is a demon. Rajani, it's fairly possible that if we form something with this guy and he keeps it from the Greycoats, but he wants answers, that you can say, listen, there's also this one ghost I interacted with. I'm going to deal with that one ghost that's not part of the problem. And if you deal with that part of the ghost, we're going to let out that you worked with. I mean, it's not possible to ask for favors in return of hush, hush, keep the small things to us and worry about the bigger problem, which is the demon. I'm not saying form an alliance with these people. I'm saying do what we do best, and that's use their information to our advantage to gain the results that we want.
Maybe, well, we can take a vote on this now if you'd like, or we can skip the idea of using them as a distraction and revisit this after we learn more about the Crowfields.
Think,
So do the
I feel
Crowfield
like
thing
we're
first.
operating
think about this.
very little information right now, aren't we?
Think about this for 1 second. In a perfect world, and things usually come together for us, I think. You're all there. You've already talked to them before. You're conducting a business agreement. You're just indulging in conversations. Spirit Wardens show up. They now have to move or do something to hide something further. They're not going to be like, oh, hey, did you make sure you put that away? Yeah, I made sure I put that away. They're going to make a motion or something, which could also drop a hint to where they're keeping things or hiding things.
I don't think that's the case. I think anything they need to have hidden, they would already have hidden when we arrive. We're not exactly close friends of theirs, and they certainly have never revealed to us that they have any secret dealings.
Well,
I think
the
main thing we
Go ahead.
the main thing we have to link them to the murder of the Spirit Warden is the man's cologne, which I'm not saying it's a weak link, but I'm saying the only reason we have that link is because Spurs and Rajani watched it happen.
Yeah.
And didn't do anything. And I just think let's go to the Crowfields first, and we'll probably learn at least something, potentially more links, more clues, and we can easily go to the Spirit Wardens with that, because we can just say we were buying clothes and then notice this crazy ass thing. It will be completely legitimate. It's essentially laundering our information.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Almost everything else we have right now damns us as much as them.
they could
True,
also say,
and if we get this,
they could also say thank you for the information and act it out on their own. That doesn't help us. What helps us is everybody can hide whatever they want, but until the authorities are knocking on your door, do you double check your securities, double check your wards, double check everything, make a motion, something. You said this: if the sister's the ghost who's being controlled, she might act like out and nervous, and therefore, and then Blue or Spurs, who got along with her great, can then go, "What's wrong? You can tell me."
I just don't think that's going to happen. There were magistrates at the Dimmer Sisters party, and they invited a Spirit Warden, and the two of them weren't nervous at all.
Well, they weren't at their house where they're hiding stuff, Blue. Put it to a vote however you guys want to do it. I'm up for anything. I'm just throwing out.
that's assuming that they're hiding things at their house too. If anything, what would be found would be by us. Spirit Wardens are looking for something greater, probably. We could find the subtleties that they're conducting within their business just from a little snooping here and there. And if Spirit Wardens come in the middle of all that and create this heightened frantic sense within them to make sure everything is hidden well enough, that will further hinder our investigation down the road, because then they'll have hidden everything, put higher wards up within their home, move whatever it is that they're keeping hidden. If we jumped too quickly into bringing authorities into it, they'll get a head start on hiding everything.
And then that's when we can go to them and we can say, hey, take a look at this guy's scent. This is where we have additional information where we can get them to keep working. Again,
we can never point out the scent, though. We
whichever
really
one.
only...
But yeah, the scent is linked to something that would...
I mean, hence why I think we should launder the information. Okay, we'll just vote, and then we can do our first heist. All right, I vote we wait to talk to the Spirit Wardens after the Crowfield meeting.
Well, remember, it's one Spirit Warden. One. We're going to talk to one person.
I vote that we wait to talk to any Spirit Wardens until after the Crowfield meeting.
I also vote the same way as Blue.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, that's it then. We will hold off talking to them. We know
Although Spurs, did you want to say something?
Doesn't matter to me. As long as we get in there, we can poke around, get what we need.
Well,
I mean, the fact of the matter is, we're still involving the law when we're not detectives, right? We're not trying to. The burden of proof is not on us. We're criminals.
And we have.
We need to prove who took our thing. As long as we have enough to go on and we find the product, we bring it back. That's all that matters to me.
All right. Then.
So how should we set up this meeting with the Crowfields?
When we spoke to them, did we, the people who spoke to them about their business, did they say that they operate out of their home, or do they have like an office or a shop or something? I can't remember.
The way that Amelia put it across was that they either operate from their home or particularly with people like the Dimmer sisters and stuff like that, because they have a very big, well, the Dimmer sisters don't leave their home anyway, but they go to other people's much larger homes. You think they might not necessarily come to the 13th floor just because it's not a huge there's not going to be lots of
and we don't have a rapport with them as well as the Dimmer sisters probably do yet.
Well, you just simply mail a letter requesting an appointment to discuss.
Send a messenger.
Send a messenger.
Is Thomas here?
Thomas
well, I think there's like a messenger service in the city, right? Isn't that right? Does Doskvol?
Like you do get that regular every single day. It tends to be a young person, maybe about 11, 12 years old, tends to come around and ask if any messages need delivering, and it's literally like a few coppers to send it.
So would that not arrive to them? Would that arrive to them the next day, or would it arrive to them today?
No, it arrives the day. It arrives the day it happens. So
cool.
Yeah, mention you're fascinated by the idea. Times of the essence, and so
are we going with personal clothing, or are we going with the uniform idea?
I think we ought to say both, so that it seems as though there's as much money in play as possible.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I could always
that will
go
explain
back.
why there's so many of us there.
Yeah, I could always go back down to the docks and get my rattiest, dirtiest, most torn up clothes to really sell the fact that I need new clothes, which I don't think I do, but clearly you do think.
No, you look amazing, Rajani, but that would be very funny.
They come across as the people that whatever you showed up in, they're going to be condescending towards it anyway.
That's a very good point.
We can also make them a little less nervous if we cut down on the number of people that are actually going through front of house. If Dabo and I, or any of us, wants to go around and try and do some snooping, then we can feel free to be a little more heavy.
Remember, the thing here is that if they gain some sort of scent or mark from me, I'm not marked. If you and I are together and tripping, I thought that's the reason why the whole point of us going there opposed to me going there by myself.
There's always the possibility, but I think if he's already got our scent and a bunch of us are walking in through the front door, he's already going to be on edge. We don't know how strong that detection runs, if in fact that's something he can do.
And he did actually see you, Dubbo, when I was stood behind you.
I didn't talk to him at all. He wasn't even looking at me. I didn't have any interaction.
But you were like standing with our group.
He did look at you. I will say the reason you have his scent is because of how strong his.
Yeah, I was going to say, we
have to consider one more thing. That he's lying when he says he doesn't recognize Odessa.
Well, I think he was lying. I think that we need to be.
All right, let's just okay.
I think we need to be sneaky regardless, right? So whether or not he's seen some of us before, we'll always need to be sneaky. I'm gonna write a quick little note, pop my head out, give it to the adorable little urchin outside, and have them deliver it. In the meantime, if some of us want to very surreptitiously go and just pick up the layout of their home, that might be helpful. Is there a back door? How many floors is it? Are there windows? So we're prepared, and they'll probably set the appointment for later today or tomorrow.
Okay.
There are also other leads we could potentially follow in the meantime, depending on how long it takes for this to happen. There's the perfume shop. There's my friends.
Yes.
There's other things we can look into.
And there's helping the Dimmer sisters whenever they get that extra information over to us.
Yeah.
Oh, and Thomas, we haven't forgotten about you. We will talk to Roland. So there's also that.
You could see Thomas like glaring, not at you, but just he's not happy. If anything, you see him drain his glass, and he looks at you like, I'll be back later. And he starts to shuffle away.
Please don't go down to the warehouses?
No,
please?
I won't. And he sort of
Thank
shuffles
you.
out, shrugging his coat. This looks slightly too big for him over his shoulders. He's like, I won't cause any trouble.
I don't believe him. I whisper after he leaves.
I get angry, Thomas. He's growing on me. It's weird.
Oh, he woke me up. It was so loud. He was banging on the doors. I'd just gotten to sleep. Anyway.
I'm going to grab a piece of paper and just write a quick note that says, it was wonderful to meet them last night. Several of my colleagues are still interested in new personal garments, but we're also interested in a new uniform to give the place a classier and more organized look. We'd like to have an appointment to discuss potentially procuring their services for those things. And that we're free to come to them whenever is most convenient. And then I'll find a little, a hopefully trustworthy looking little urchin to deliver it.
They come and knock on the doors. It's almost like a regular thing, and you do manage to hand off this letter to a very smiling little girl who sort of hitches up her skirts and runs in the direction of the home. Whilst you're waiting for a response, are you going anywhere else, or are you?
I'm just gonna wait for this. I'm just gonna wait because I want to take an action as a group finally. So,
yeah, that's
I'm
a
not
good
gonna
point.
go do anything on my own.
Yeah, and I guess like the ghost thing can only really happen at night, and it might look a bit weird if we go to the perfumery and then to their house if anyone's like keeping tabs. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Okay. So, sorry, go on, Blue.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I mean, I think it might be a little while until they come back. So I won't go far, but I'm just gonna kind of visit other like shops and sort of taverns in the neighborhood and just try and drum up more business for like tonight and the coming nights. Just like say hi to regulars, that kind of thing.
Okay. You can walk around. I mean, you walk past the perfume shop. It's known anyway. So, and you can see the gentleman who owns it working away in there. Otherwise, all of the other stores, you're getting very much the similar rumors that you heard this morning. There's not. It seems to be the topic of Doskvol right now. This mysterious thing that's running across the rooftops, and probably whether you're all sort of camping out at the 13th floor, you're there for a couple of hours before there's a little rap at the door.
I open it.
Yeah, I was like, hi, how are you?
Yeah, there's this little girl there again with a letter, and she holds it up very, very straight. She goes, "There you go," and almost completely, as quickly as she arrived, disappears again.
Huh? All right.
And it seems to be from the brother and sister, and they are inviting you. They seem actually very excited and pleased at such a quick response and reply. They have said for both business and leisure, you are invited to dinner this evening as well.
Ooh.
Make a thing of it.
Are we going to be the dinner?
Or maybe Amelia just took a strong liking to Spurs.
Okay.
Wanted to spend some extra time.
All right, so I'm just gonna click all these boxes just so I'm ready. I have my mask. I have subterfuge supplies.
Oh yeah.
Arcane.
Is this a normal load?
Well, so when you pick your load, you decide how heavy you're carrying, and then as we go through the score, you can tick boxes off as you go.
Okay.
So you don't have to plan for every eventuality. Like, oh, there's a door in front of you. Okay, I'm gonna tick off burglary gear, so I have lock
Got
picks.
it.
You know,
Huh.
and then you have that for the rest of the score. If there's anything that's got italics in it, it doesn't count against your load. So like,
Cool.
I have a rage essence vial. I can carry that and still have room for my other stuff. So really,
Cool.
technically all we need to do, not to like step on anybody's toes, but all we need to do right away is decide what load we're carrying into the score with.
I mean, I guess light would make the most sense, but that gives us such few things to work with.
I'm going heavy. I already know this is gonna go bad. So.
Right. And if you have like light load, it's like we're going to a party, right?
Yeah.
Medium is like we're doing a job, and heavy is like if Dabo's going heavy, Dabo clearly is like ready to do stuff. Like he has gear, he has kit up.
Well, what if we just take our existing uniforms and we bring 2 in like a bag or a box with us, and we put them on top of Dabo's stuff, so that way Dabo can bring a ton of stuff. But we kind of have a good reason, right? We want them to see what our uniforms today look like, so they can improve on them.
Great, a chore. How about this? Why don't we? That's going to be tough to sneak around. I'm dragging backpacks around, Blue. It might be a tough feat. Is there a way? What was our uniforms? Uniforms for our workers?
Yeah, like the bartender and the dealers.
Yeah. I mean, Spurs, here's an idea. You could also go in the regalia that you wore yesterday and then now be kitted for battle and say, hey, could you also upgrade this? And bring all your stuff with you. So if they're like, yeah, we can bring that, and you already have your stuff on you. I want to see how it's going to look. So you can see this is how I wear when I go out. You were like that last night. So that would be perfectly sensible for you to be able to bring more stuff.
He did seem to recognize that I was a seer, so I guess he wouldn't think it was too weird if I had a bunch of stuff with me.
I think Spurs weapons are going to be the toughest thing to sneak in if you've
you're not
large.
If
I have a lot more weaponry than you may be aware of.
Well, at least you can bring something, I think. Does that not make sense if you bring your uniform with all your gear and say, hey, I want to upgrade this too. Here's what I wear when I go out in this regalia like you saw me last night. Therefore, it's not weird.
If we're going for a dinner party, then sure. If some of us are trying to work our way around, that's a different story.
There is also a handy excuse of a giant spider dragon man out and about. And we can say that some of us are just carrying a little extra load in case, just for protection.
Buzz is our like head of security, right? So
that
would make sense.
Okay. All right.
So we're going with a heavy load to this dinner party.
I mean, we all have to go?
I'm going with a normal load.
No,
yeah, we don't all have to go with the same load, do we?
No.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So, you're heading...
Your back, come with me, I'm scared.
So, you can all head, you can easily sort of get a carriage up to this house. And as you pull up, it reminds you a little bit of the Dimmer Sisters' home. It's not as elaborate at all. It looks like it was perhaps an old build of house that has been renovated. It looks like there is some more work being done on it. There is a bit of a path on the lead up. It's not very wide. How the Dimmer Sisters is almost like a mansion. This is more of a tall building with many floors. Sort of about 4 different floors. It is still very big, but it's nowhere near the size of the Dimmer Sisters. You sort of look at these huge bay windows. You can see that some of them are open, where there's work being done in some of the rooms. And as you arrive, their coachmaster opens the coach door for you, the carriage door, and immediately goes to the 2 double main doors and opens it for you and gives you a bit of a smile to indicate for you to go in.
I go in.
Okay.
Is this a score?
Yeah. It's
okay.
a bit of, and is there a particular order you are all wanting to go in before we jump in?
Well, I think I'm going in through a window around the back or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not going in.
You can definitely move around the side. And is Spurs going with, or is Spurs in the front?
Well, I guess my question is, if it's a score, I don't know if we figured out which of the job types this is, and then I believe we need to do the engagement roll to find out how bad of a situation we're in when we start off. So I think if this is a dinner party, it's probably social. As opposed to stealth, right?
Social. It's social more than anything. It's literally...
Okay. And we've invited, so it's not like we're...
Right. So we needed to figure out a connection that was in this thing. But I think that we established that as like we have our friendship with this person, so we've got a good footing.
But I'm not going in the front door, right? I'm not.
No,
even
but
going,
the whole group as a general thing
I'm
is
not even
sort
going
of
to
overly
the same
social.
carriage, Alice. I'm gonna go after. I'm gonna go before or afterwards. Like be.
Yeah,
ready
no.
after.
You can arrive afterwards and move around the back that way.
Okay.
But in general, this is technically a social event, and I will say there's at least some form of friendship there, especially after last night.
What else do we need to do to set up for a score?
We need the engagement roll, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fortune roll, which starts
I'm
with
so
one
excited.
die, and then we add dice or remove them depending on factors like, is our plan bold and daring, or is it overly complicated and rely on too many moving pieces? Things like that. There's a suggested list in the book, but we can sort of like add based on or remove based on things that.
I personally would say bold and daring, purely because you are working with there's a front, and then there's the factor of sneaking in the back door as well. So there's going to be the line of deception to almost distract, and you're literally walking into their home with a lie straight off.
Yeah, so this our planning and load is now, because I see it on my character sheet: assault, occult, deception, social, stealth, transport. This is clearly deception.
I think it's social.
No, I think we're masquerading that as social, but the whole thing is to find it. We're invited to dinner. We're going to dinner. We're having dinner, but we're not there just for dinner. We're there for clearly alternative means. So I think
that's fair. Yeah, because deception is like lure, trick, or manipulate versus social, which is negotiate, bargain, or persuade.
Yeah, you're probably going to be doing decepting then, because you're not there to actually get uniforms. You may come out with them,
right?
But it's not your primary.
So our method of deception is wearing those uniforms and such, and going as like, oh, we're friends. We just want to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are a diversionary tactic, is what you are.
My roll 20 is not loading. Sorry.
So how do we roll for that
so
setup thing?
The fortune roll is 1 die plus 1 for it being a bold plan. If our plan exposes a vulnerability of the target or hits them where they're the weakest, we get a die. If they are strong against this approach or they have good defenses or preparations, we lose a die. If any of our friends or contacts can provide aid, we get a die. If we have any enemies or rivals interfering, we lose a die. If there are anything else that we need to consider, like they're a very low tier target or they're a very high tier target, that will add or remove dice.
Okay.
I would imagine between all the other stuff that we have going on, we're at like maybe 2 dice, because a lot of that other stuff kind of evens out.
I will say they do have wards, and I will say Odessa can pick up on that in particular straight away, but they don't seem like high security wards. These aren't things that block out everything. It's nowhere near the level as you're the Dimmer Sisters, put it that way.
Okay.
So one of us or Alice needs to make I guess a 2 dice.
I was gonna say someone else, because my roll 20 is not loading apparently. It's just
is that roll fortune underneath the strange friends box?
I can see it.
Let me ask you a question.
If you go to the crew mode, there's roll engagement.
I don't have that set up yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I can do it.
How about one more thing before we add those dice? One more thing. The fact that we have a backup plan, such as having information on them, or the fact that the sister might be smitten to spurs. That not play an advantage into this?
I'd say there is, especially because, like I said, you've already built that friendship. So for them right now, in the way you're approaching, particularly Amelia, is this is both of their business, and this is her thing. So
does that mean we can get 3 die for the engagement roll,
sounds
Alex?
like 3 dice. That's not my call.
Yeah, no, definitely. If someone else could roll for me, though, because my roll 20 is
I'm going to do it.
Not loading for some reason.
So roll engagement, 3 dice. Cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from the chart, the highest roll we have is a 4, so we're in a risky position when the action starts.
Okay, but could be worse.
Yeah,
So
we
do
could
we
be in a
cut
desperate
in?
position.
Yeah.
Do we cut in like halfway through? Do we want to do that? Skip the pleasantries and the
Yeah, that's sort of
appetizers?
the way that the engagement role sets up. Like we know our approach, and then the engagement role is like, well, here's where we are. So like we could be very well like all sitting at dinner and like have a fork full of food in our mouth as Carla's like, so, and when were you going to tell me that you mean to kill me or something like that, you know?
We hear like a clang in the background, and then Spurs just goes, "Sorry."
Spurs falls through the roof.
And then we can do flashbacks to say like, oh, well, we obviously we knew that they were going to do this thing, and depending on how crazy a flashback it is, we need to spend more or less stress.
And that's where you're allowed to put in like the items and things.
Yes,
in your
let's
loadout.
do a
Okay.
flashback on items.
Cool.
and
That's
stuff.
how the rubber meets the road there.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
I will say, as you walk into the house, however, there are, just to give you a bit of an idea of what this looks like, it is pretty grand. Again, you can see work is being done. There are lots and lots and lots of oil paintings on the wall. You can see one of Amelia, you can see one of Carlisle, and lots of other people that you can guess a family. They all look completely different. They're all very, very different and very much of the time they would have been painted. There is 2 double doors at the other end that are opened for you, and they are opened by Carlisle as he walks through. And behind him you can see what looks like a dining room with a long table, sort of all kitted out. And he gives you a smile. He's in a much more he's in simpler clothes, but they're still of very high quality. They're not particularly colourful, but it's a smart jacket and a very good pair of boots as you all sort of walk in. And he gives you a bit of a grin. He's like, and immediately walks up and tries to shake all of your hands, apart from Dabo, who's obviously gone around the outside. And he sort of gives you all a smile. He's like, I am so glad that you decided to take me up on the offer of dinner, as well as my sister's creative talent, shall we say.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. The sisters spoke very highly of your sister's talents, and we're just really intrigued, and we could use a new look to revive our establishment.
Absolutely. Please, come in. And he sort of gestures for all of you to walk into this dining hall, and it is big. Huge windows line all the way along, all of these big bay windows. You can see a couple of people there's already sort of dishing up some food, putting food on the plates for you, and pouring wine into these crystal glasses. And he takes a seat at the head of the table and indicates to you all to sit down as well. Is that my sister will be joining us very, very shortly.
So, tell me, have you been hearing these crazy rumors all over Doskvol? They've been unavoidable today. People seem positively terrified out there.
And he sort of takes a little bit of a sigh as he takes a sip of his wine. He's like, I have heard of such stories. In my opinion, it's probably just people causing mischief where it is not needed.
Really? So you haven't seen for yourself the damage that's been done as a result of this creature?
I mean, I haven't actually been out in the city yet today, but I've been told there's been some damage done to some of the homes.
Scorch marks, apparently.
Scorch marks? What sort of being leaves scorch marks?
Is he lying at any point?
Lying how?
Special ability. I can always tell when someone's lying to me. Has he been out in the city today?
He has not been out in the city.
Okay, he's telling the truth.
You can tell he's he raises an eyebrow at the scorch marks, but you can tell he hasn't been out in the city today. If anything, you can tell he's very much in relaxing clothes. He doesn't look like he's left the house. He looks very tidy. Normally when people have left the house, particularly in Doskvol, if they've gone around those areas, you get that sort of soot that lingers. Much as you clean, you can sort of get the discoloration somewhere, like it catches on like the collar of clothes or something like that. But he takes another sip of his wine and he's like, leans forward, he's like, tell me more of scorch marks and anything else.
Some very large and unusual claw marks up the side of a home.
Claw marks?
Have you ever seen or even imagined a creature who would combine those two things? I certainly haven't. Claw marks and, I don't know, fire breathing?
It's not something I've ever heard of, but then what I've heard is that there are more wells popping up, and that can never be good if we don't know what's going to walk through that.
Where did you hear that?
Takes a lot of spirit wardens and blue coats. They have been walking around the neighborhood issuing warnings.
Did they say where those spirit wells are popping up at all?
Oh gosh, no. Do you know if you went round telling everyone where the spirit wells were, the amount of cultists that would rush there?
Of course, I just thought, since this neighborhood is so respectable, maybe they wanted to protect you guys.
No, I just tend to opt for avoiding most places in general. I operate from my home mostly, unless we have particular clients that wish us to come to their homes. Otherwise, I don't like to leave so much. He sort of wrinkles his nose. Don't particularly enjoy walking the streets of Doskvol.
Well, I can see you and the Dimmer sisters have a lot in common then.
Yes, we do have some similarities. I have to say I enjoy at least going into our gardens. Obviously there are some times I must, visit the outside, but normally by carriage, specifically to certain shops. Don't you?
Oh, well, I quite like exploring the city, actually, myself.
Interesting. What are your favorite districts? Is there anywhere in particular you enjoy?
Everywhere, to be honest. I'm not from here originally, so I'm still exploring.
Not from... Where are you from, may I inquire? Of course, if it's too much information, then do not feel any need to share.
No. Something of a wanderer from the Dagger Isles.
And he raises a eyebrow. Dagger Isles.
Mm-hmm.
Nice place, is it?
Depends on your definition of nice. I enjoyed it. Most people don't seem to.
He sort of gives a bit of a smile and then sort of picks up the silver and cutlery on the side and starts to dig into this food, more sort of moving it around the plate and cutting it up into small pieces, whilst he still sort of gives you a bit of a smile. He seems to be really trying to put on a very social appearance. It seems to be very much his thing that he's a talker rather than a doer. And there's a moment when he looks over to you, Spurs. It was a pleasure chatting with you last night, especially a man of honor such as yourself.
Oh, I appreciate anyone that doesn't carry around an air of pretense.
As do I.
It's nice to be able to talk with people who are interested in business rather than just comings and goings of high society.
Yes, high society can be a bit of a bore at times, especially when one has nothing really to talk about. Business, however, is intriguing. Working with many other business people, like yourselves, you are business people. How is your business going? Especially with all these rumors coming around. I know some people are fearing the streets, apparently.
So I'm seated next to him. I've made sure I'm seated next to him. And I'm just gonna reach over like really quick to grab the goblet of wine and like refill my glass. And I've put my Demon Bane charm and my Spirit Bane charm as like little charms on a bracelet. And so as I reach over, I want to subtly like brush both charms against his wrist as I'm like reaching for this goblet across him to see if he reacts, like pulls his hand back or anything.
You sort of move. So are you actually holding his hand, or are you just brushing over?
No, it's like a dangling bracelet. Do you know what I mean? It'll just like maybe brush against the skin as I'm like, oh, pardon me, just a quick refill.
As you sort of brush over him, the small trinket sort of brush just the top of his wrist and over the top of his hand, and he shoots you a look. More than anything else, it's not a harsh look, but it is a very questioning look. And he gives you a bit of a there's a moment where you can see like the social face falls, and it goes quite straight, and then it sort of breaks for a moment, and he smiles again. It's a charming bracelet.
Oh, thank you. And I think my Spirit Bane charm is a little bit like it's quite ornamented. It's not just like an obvious like ghost with like an X through it or something. Like it would look like a normal bracelet charm.
Sign,
yeah, it's like a cute one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Put like a flower over it. Like everything I wear is cute, and so
hi everyone.
It shouldn't be apparent to him. Oh, thank you. It was a gift from an old admirer.
Of course.
Many lifetimes ago. You know how it is.
And he says it must have been very fond of them for you to still wear it.
I'm sentimental that way. I think sometimes it's fun to just sit and reminisce about sort of the romantic adventures of the past. It's a bit safer than getting involved in any new ones.
And he sort of gives you a bit of a nod, and you can see he's questioning something. And he's just almost like reading the scene as he looks over all of you and raises his crystal glass. Cheers.
Cheers.
One thing you'll come to know about us, Mr. Carlyle, we all have long-running memories. Cheers.
After we all
what
cheers.
What a line.
After we all cheers, Odessa is gonna try to find an excuse to get up and start looking around. And excuse me for a moment. I've left some pain medication for my leg in my coat. I'll be right back. I need to take that with the meal, so excuse me.
And he sort of just indicates with a hand for the door to be opened for you. And what about Rajani? Is Rajani doing anything in particular whilst this is happening?
Would I recognize what Blue's Spirit and Demon Bane charms look like? Like, would I know that's what she's saying?
I'd say you would. Yeah, I would say you would.
So she takes note of that reaction. But I think there's not really a whole lot she can do sat at the table without it looking completely like being a complete dead giveaway. Just like, oh,
drop my fork. 1 second.
But when we came into the house, did I get any kind of feelings from being in the house that were different from the things I felt when I met them?
Roll an attune.
Okay.
Roll for me.
Is that
This is risky.
Risky. And standard?
Standard.
Okay.
Okay. You sort of look over everything, and the feel you got of this house is empty. There's feelings of definitely things. It's bizarre. It's like you can feel spirits, you can feel this residue and things like that pouring out of the walls here, out of the people that are working here, including the people who opened the door for you, those who have served you dinner. But the feeling is emptiness. As much as something is there, it's like a hollow feeling and a very cold feeling.
So you described when she attuned at Carlisle and Amelia that it was like a cold breeze. So is it like a similar feeling or a different?
It's a fairly similar feeling, but if anything, it's more overwhelming here, and it feels like it's not just coming from them.
Okay.
More than anything else, as you sit at the table.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at my sheet.
I think while you're reacting, I think maybe Spurs like sees Rajani like fidget a little bit or something. And I want to gather some information. Who is most dangerous here?
Okay.
It's right at the bottom.
Is that like a question you're asking him, or is gather information itself like a mechanic?
It's like a thing. At the bottom of your sheet, there are questions that all of us sort of have access to, but some of them are tinted by our playbook. So like I have, how can I hurt them, for example?
Oh, I see. And we just like get to know.
There's
in some cases, the GM can be like, I think you need to do X to get that information.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple I could use here, but wait for yours.
I will say, Spurs, just for the level, could you roll an attune for me?
Absolutely.
This is not, this is risky, and is it standard? Yeah, we'll say it's standard for now.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm gonna ask questions all the time now.
You are feeling as the person who's the most dangerous here, you are definitely feeling a lot of it from Carlisle. But there's just something a little bit, almost something that's just tipping Carlisle, just being that tiny bit more, and it's coming from upstairs. I will say that more than anything.
You sense Davo's the most dangerous.
I mean, that can be a response, 100%.
So there's a few, I think, that are specific to whispers that are like slightly similar, and I'm unfamiliar with this mechanic. So there's like, what is arcane or weird here, what echoes in the ghost field, and what is hidden or lost here, which all kind of are like tinging along similar things, but I don't know what would apply the most.
Would you like to try?
I'll
tell you what, have a think on that, and I'll really quickly go to Dabo. And Dabo, you're moving around the side of this house. You've done it fairly easy. They don't have a lot of people that run this house. You do have to duck underneath all the bay windows because they're quite big. But you can head round to the back, and there's two doors you can see. You can see one that you can definitely hear a kitchen behind. And then there is another which seems to enter into almost like a conservatory-esque sort of room where you can see a door that leads onto the main house. You can also see a set of stairs, like a set of outdoor wrought iron stairs that go up from where you think that it's very pointless that there's a greenhouse, but there is a big sort of almost like, think of a Victorian style greenhouse with wicker chairs in and things like that, but you can see a staircase that runs up to the side of the house.
In all the dealings, when we go to make deliveries with people or we go to make business deals and whatnot, is there anything that I notice where people keep hidden stashes or their goods in their basement, or is it upstairs, or is it on the ground floor? Like, just of all the people we dealt with, whether it be the Dimma sisters or any contacts or anything in the past.
You know, especially houses like this in particular do have basements. They tend to have those big doors that open up and you walk down. It's normally like a storage facility, or a lot of people use it almost like a wine cellar rather than anything else. But you can see one of those. It's sort of got that very green peeling paint that's been painted from the outside.
I'm gonna actually. They had said his scent.
Mm-hmm.
You said there's a greenhouse, so I'm actually gonna go upstairs.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you head up towards those iron staircases, and there is a door up at the top.
Okay.
And
just so you know, I have a fine cover identity, and I'm wearing my blue and purple Harlequin mask.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can head up. The door is unlocked. This is almost come up onto a balcony that looks like where you can look out over the gardens. But you sort of look around, and there's not a lot here. There doesn't seem to be too much. But if you want to go in through the door, I will need you to roll a prowl to try and avoid extra detection on literally walking into the house.
Well,
And this is...
if it's a glass door, I can't see wait for like the guard to pass by or anything.
No. The guard. This isn't a glass door for that. You've gone in through that and up to the top, where there is this door into the inside. It has 2 panels, but it's like that frosted glass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you roll.
Are there any windows nearby that I can see through? Because I have climbing gear as well.
You can see quite a few windows, the big bay windows. First, you can see, definitely if you're going up the staircase on the 2nd floor, you can see Amelia in her room. She seems to be almost like prepping herself. She looks a little bit nervous. She's currently putting on this sort of like this rouge over her lips and on her cheeks, and she looks as if you literally see her open the door to lead out.
Okay, so could I go through that window as an entry if I wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give it a couple seconds. And if we think she's under control, maybe there's some sort of fetter or something in that room is what I'm thinking. So that's gonna be my entry point, that room right there.
Okay. The window you can easily open as it's a bay window, and you can lift it up and you can slide in.
Is there any squeaking? Because apparently I have stuff for squeaking windows.
No, this is actually, as you can see, it's been freshly painted and everything like that. You think all of this is actually pretty sound. None of this is old. As you open the window up, you slide in and you step onto that wooden floorboard with this huge, very elaborate rug.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
So I'll say, and last of all, Rajani, what was the question you went for?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So I feel like what is arcane or weird here? But we already obviously know that there is like a lot of arcane power here, but trying to identify specifically what else it is other than the 2 siblings.
Mm-hmm. Roll an attune for me. Risky and standard, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
You sort of reach out as you feel it, and you can feel Carlisle looking at you for a moment, and that's the reason you can feel it. Mm-hmm. And you feel this sense both from Carlisle, you feel it from the people currently topping up your wine in this place. And sorry, what was the exact wording of the question again?
I believe it is what is arcane or weird here? Everything, apparently.
You are picking up the weird because you realize here, Carlisle, the people serving you dinner and the people serving you wine, none of them are breathing. And I think that looking at the time is where we will stop Blades in the Dark today, ready for next week. Otherwise,
God.
everyone please check out the links coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. We have a channel just for this if you want to go check it out. We'd love to hear what you think. If you've missed out on anything, you can head over to YouTube and catch up over there and all the playlists. Also, if you want to get into a game, go drop Scrat a DM on Twitter. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of the Deck of Many, with the Deck of Many Things, and their Humblewood, which is up next, which is a viewer game. So please stick around and check that out. The wonderful Mage Hand Press that created Dark Matter, and also the Fae Folio, which you would have seen yesterday. The amazing Hero Forge with their colourful minis. And last but certainly not least, also Doskvol for all your map and campaign building needs. Thank you for bearing with us. The tech gremlins were good today, apart from my roll 20. Otherwise, keep evoking emotions, and we'll see you next week. Bye.